much. Our next speaker is from Hood River, Oregon. He's the chairman of the Telecommunications and Technology Subcommittee for Energy and Commerce. I'd like to yield 4 minutes to the gentleman from Hood River, Oregon.
I thank the chairman for 4 minutes. Thank the chairman, and I thank the chairman for his good work on this legislation. And I want to thank my colleagues for what I hope will be their support of passage of this legislation, specifically the parts related to the federal forest land. Federal forest land across the nation is rotting, it's dying, and it's burning because the federal government has failed to manage our forests. You know, when we actively managed our forests and selectively logged our lands, we had vibrant ecosystems and we had vibrant and healthy economies. Now the forests are overstocked, they're diseased and infested, and they go up in smoke. Communities literally are dying. Counties are literally on the edge of bankruptcy. In my state, some of those counties have 50 to 70% of the land mass in federal forest lands or grasslands. Most forests are overstocked and disease-infested. Communities are dying. Mills are closing. Children, you're talking about children living in poverty? Misguided federal policy on forest land management, children in my district into poverty and their parents out of work. Local communities struggle to provide even basic services like law enforcement and schools. H.R. 1526, the Restoring Healthy Forests for Healthy Communities Act, returns more active management to our federal forest lands. This proposal has been crafted with input from federal foresters, industry representatives, and most importantly, the residents of these local communities that are living in poverty, subject to choking, catastrophic, and sometimes deadly wildfires and the choking smoke that fills our valleys now every summer. H.R. 1526 also includes a balanced and bipartisan plan for unique Oregon forests. Oregonians have been managing forests since times of the Oregon Trail, most likely. And we're proud of our Oregon Forest Practices Act and its commitment not only to the economy, but to the ecology and to the environment, with protections for water, for streams, and for regeneration of our forests for future generations. Unfortunately, yesterday, we got word that the White House has issued a veto threat on this urgently needed and balanced bill. The President and his team clearly have no idea, none, on what's happening in our rural communities with federal forest lands surrounding them in the West. Counties are literally going broke. Folks are facing double-digit unemployment and double-digit poverty. Citizens call 911 for emergency help and are told literally, sorry, we can't help you. There's no one to send. And fires are raging throughout our forests. Enough is enough. This system is broken. This law will change that and fix that. And the White House needs to understand that and be a partner for progress, not an enemy of it. Today, the House will act to provide relief for citizens in these rural communities. And I urge my colleagues to choose jobs, safety, health of our rural communities, and health of our forests for future generations. To reject poverty and unhealthy forests, because that's what we face today. So I urge a yes vote on the rule, a yes vote on the underlying bill, because our rural communities have waited too long for this relief. And I yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Texas reserves. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself 5 seconds. I just wanted to say to the gentleman from Oregon that there were 1 in 5 Oregonians that are on food stamps as we gather here today. And in his district, there are nearly 60,000. I know you talked a lot about trees, but there are a lot of people that will be adversely affected by another bill in this
Gentleman's
thing.
time has expired.
I don't have any time. At this point, I'd like to yield 1 minute.
Gentleman from Oregon is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I thank that, and I thank my colleague from Texas, because I wanted to respond to my friend from Massachusetts who didn't have any more time to yield or talk about it after he talked about people in my district on food stamps, and indeed they are. And they don't want to be. And if you'd support our legislation that's bipartisan on healthy forests, they'd have dignity and a job, and they'd be able to take care of their families, and they would have schools, And I know they have dignity when they're on food stamps. I understand that. I also know they'd feel much better about their role in life if they could go and be productive again as they were. We've seen 300 mills close, 30,000 people lose their jobs, and there's a solution here that doesn't raid the federal treasury and borrow money to pay for it. It's called a job. And we wouldn't spend over half the Forest Service budget fighting fire. Instead, we would replenish our forests. We'd get them healthy again. We wouldn't choke our valleys with smoke in the summer, which is occurring all over the country, because we'd be managing these great federal forest reserves. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.